Hi everyone, it's the Assyrian priestess with you. I hope this finds you well. In today's tarot talk, we are going to explore the Temperance card. And here laid out on my lovely table, I have the Temperance card by the Babylonian tarot, the Temperance card from Chris Madsen's Witch's Tarot, the Temperance card from the After Tarot, which is like a moment after the Rider-Waite, and the Art card from the Thoth Tarot. So the Temperance card is the number 14. And I hear a lot of people interpret the major arcana in a very literal way, and I encourage you not to, because tarot as a tool of analysis, of reflection, and sometimes of divination must enter you into the deep inner knowing of the psyche. If you stay in the literal interpretation, you will stay trapped in your own analysis, and you can do your own analysis without the tarot. So we usually read for ourselves and each other when there is an issue in the sort of outer world that has us surprised, shocked, challenged, blocked in some way. And so tarot becomes an opener. And to open the door to deep psychic understanding, one must interpret with A, wisdom and experience, and B, going beyond the literal. So the literal, of course, is balance, moderation. Yes, that's true. But this card is not a card of balance and moderation in the sense of a sort of guardian figure scolding you to be in better balance or do things in moderation. It has actually very little to do with that. So I've been reading tarot for 30 years, and my wisdom is via experience of reading for myself and others, and then watching those readings play out, or using those readings to help people make sense of the outer world. Plus, I have an entire bookcase full of essays and interpretations from different scholars on the matter. So I enjoy going deeper, and the Temperance card has been coming up a lot for me in my personal readings lately. So I thought I would share what I'm learning. So firstly, the card number is 14. 1 meets 4. So that comes out as a 5, right? Which is a kind of wobbly experience. But also, if you think of the pentagram, the 5 is actually earth, air, water, fire, and spirit. So it's actually an equilibrium as well. It's a wheel. It's the number of the wheel. It's also 1 plus 4. So there's a level of stability here that is presented to the Fool on her journey. So you will know that the tarot suite is a Fool going on a journey into like the human archetypal journey. Every single human being will go through the drama of being a human and the learning, if they're open to it, right? If they're a self-reflective person. And if you find yourself here at a tarot talk, then you are one of those people, or you're a guide. So in the traditional Rider-Waite, we have the angel, and angels are a theme in the tarot. We meet angels in different cards, and think of who angels are and what their role is. So angels were intercessors between God and earth. Angels would help humans or sometimes hinder humans. And, there's also sort of good angels and fallen angels. Now, in the Temperance card, we meet a good angel or a heavenly angel, and we know this because the angel has a symbol on their forehead, a flower, a rosette, a light. And this angel is very peacefully and calmly balancing two vessels. And in the traditional Rider-Waite, one vessel is red for fire, one vessel is blue for water. And so this card can also be named alchemy or the alchemist. And so the alchemists believed that you could, through a series of practices in what was known as the great work, you could turn base materials, base metals into gold, or lower vibration materials into something pure. And so it's the great alchemical tempering of the psyche. That's the Temperance card. Now, when you read the mages, the card that comes before is often an indicator for where this person is at. So if you're getting the Temperance card in someone's reading, they probably have just gone through facing the scythe of the Death card, which is number 13, the card that comes before. And so the Death card is where the Fool meets with the scourge of time. Time comes and says, time's up. And you must succumb to this in order for the great readjustment. So death is the readjustment, the recalibrator. And so the Temperance card is that recalibration. The person has gone through, a major ending or cataclysmic event. And now they are in that state of repair or repose where they meet an angel, or they're in communion with their angel, and they're learning the great work, which is having been tempered. So often when we go through a death experience, whether it's a death of a loved one, a death of a kindred spirit or animal, a major ending or loss in our life, it is very disorienting. And when it's followed by a period of complete numbness, lostness, and ambiguity, and then you get to the rest stage, you get to the stage of feeling really exhausted and needing renewal. And Temperance is the renewal card. And so the Death card that comes before is almost like the fire that the phoenix has to be reduced to ashes before she rises. And so the Temperance is almost like a rising from the ashes, an understanding that the person who has been tempered is you. You are the tempered. And it's finding that balance or equilibrium of the knowledge of knowing that even the most harshest of life experiences, you can still come out of purer, more beautiful, with a deeper gratitude, a deeper love, a deeper understanding of life. So that's the balance. It's not someone scolding you saying you need to balance, the work-life balance. It's not that. Please stay away from that interpretation. It is that state of realizing that the great work is at play and that you're actually one of the materials. And meeting the angel, you see that there are forces greater than you at work. And you are, I guess, at one with it. And so I like that Sandra, Tabatha, Cicero in the Babylonian tarot, which is the first card here, has got the Temperance card as the tree of life, which is an ancient symbol of the Assyrians. Some say it's a date palm, some say it's a grape trellis. It's the Jesh Din, which is the tree and life. And it has a lot of associations, but it's as above, so below is a theme in the Temperance card. And you'll see it in the traditional angel as well, because the angel is from the heavens above, but the angel has descended to earth to do the great work in this beautiful field, right? And an interesting theory I just read from Sally Nichols. I read an essay in The Tarot and the Archetypal Journey by Sally Nichols. It's an amazing book. I suggest you get it if you're interested. She says that the lemniscate in the Magician card that you'll also see in the Strength card, which is that kind of almost figure 8 that hovers above the head of the magician and the lady in the Strength card. In the Temperance card, the lemniscate has opened and the waters of the lemniscate flow in and out, in and out, in and out. And you can see here in the After Tarot, you've got a winged creature coming from one of the vessels going above and one vessel going below. And so this, as above, so below, this is the great equilibrium. So when the Death card comes, at the time it's quite horrendous. But in the state of Temperance, we realize that the great will has been enacted. And there is a reverence for the will. And I see the repose in Chris Madsen's Witch's Tarot, which has a female figure in a state of reverie under a full moon, and she has one hand on her left shoulder and one hand on her right thigh. So again, we have this above and below reference. We have the moon and the earth, the celestial and the earth. And so we are sort of like surrendered to the majesty of the great order of things. And you'll see this in the Tree of Life, because the Tree of Life is basically the web of all life. And you'll see the sun god Shamash there, which is the celestial heavens playing a role on earth. But also what you don't see in the Tree of Life is the roots in the underworld. So it's quite a deep card to get. Tell me if you get it. Tell me how you read it and what it means for you. It reminds me a lot of the star card energy after the cataclysm of the tower. So the star follows the tower, and the tower is another escape from a prison kind of apocalyptic energy. And if you go through tower moments, they feel really disruptive. But then the star card comes, and she's almost like an angel, but she's a woman, and there's a state of repose. There's a state of repose in this kind of sort of faithful surrender to the will of things. And finally, we see the Thoth Tarot, which this artwork is by Lady Frida Harris. And we have like a dual angel, dual-headed sun and moon kind of androgynous hermetic figure, again pouring fire and water into the cauldron. And we see two other mythical figures drinking and from the cauldron. It's almost like a reference to Ceridwen. And it's actually, the Temperance card is linked to Sagittarius. Sally Nichols talks about Aquarius as the vessel holder in astrology. But it is the card of Sagittarius, and I wanted to know why. And some of the reasons I came up with was the Sagittarius is a satyr. It's a half figure, half wild, half tame. It's Enkidu and Gilgamesh. It is as above and so below. It is the blending of the opposites. So after the Death card comes, the Fool realizes, the Fool being us or the querent in the reading, the Fool realizes that they can, after this cataclysmic change or loss, they can actually learn how to, or be shown by this angelic figure, how to mix and blend divine opposites that they weren't really sure how to blend before. So there's a sense of renewal here, a sense of rising from the ashes, ascension from descent, but also transformation in a new way. So you come out completely transformed from the Death card. And, I don't know if you've ever seen steel blades being tempered, but a blacksmith will put steel in fire, but then they get tempered in like liquid nitrogen, and like they go through extremes so that the steel won't shatter and will become a strong blade. So I think that's sort of what's happening here with the Temperance card is you or the person you're reading for has gone through a huge transformation and is actually coming out transformed. But how they're transformed is by going through their own extremes, extreme cold and extreme heat, metaphorically. But also, there's a flying creature here that's joined us today. But also, they're combining divine elements, different elements in a new way. And it's funny because this card popped out, which is the Page of Cups. And this is from the Thoth deck. And I'm just going to put the Page of Cups in the middle because, I really don't know what the Page of Cups has to do with the Temperance card. But he is a vessel carrier and he arrives with one vessel, right? And we often see like the pages and the knights and the queens with their vessels and, we're thrilled. But I guess one thing we need to keep in mind is that it's only one element that's being offered. Can the other elements show up and actually create an alchemical process, or will it be disastrous? Because if you don't get the balance right, it's disastrous, which is why there is an angel doing the alchemy and not a human. So I'll leave it for you there. I hope you found this interesting or useful. Let me know if you like tarot talks and learning about tarot. I will leave you, as always, with my love and courage until we meet again. Bye for now.